is Chie Satanaka, and you're listening to the Giant Sword Podcast. You better eat more meat.
Hello, and welcome to this week's Giant Sword Podcast. I'm your party leader, Nick. Joining me, as always, is Taylor. Taylor.
Nick, what up?
What up? How are you?
Doing well.
That's awesome. Also joining us today is the awesome Connor. Connor.
What up, dog?
What
How you doing?
You know, holiday season in retail. You know how that.
Indeed.
How that
Very, very good stuff.
yeah, indeed. Oh, so we've been gone for a long time. I'm sorry about that. As I said just 2 seconds ago, retail job. So haven't been able to do these things, these episodes, these videos, all this stuff. Taylor, you've actually started doing more videos recently.
Yeah, I mean the reviews have I finally finished them all. Well, not all, but so now it's just kind of getting to some fun stuff. But yeah, and we'll be talking about one game that I've made quite a few videos on.
Yeah, I was like,
shortly.
I saw that one video you posted recently, or today at least, and I was like, wait, you made multiple videos on this? What the heck?
It's kind of fun not knowing, because I'm like, ooh, I'm looking forward to hearing what that's all about.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Connor, just tell us what you've been up to.
Oh, dude, I've been working super hard, doing a lot of music-related stuff. The band is going well, Wolf King, and yeah, we got a ton of super cool stuff planned for 2022. Finally playing shows again, and yeah, man, that's the focus.
It's great. It's great to hear, because I know you've been cooped up with your drumming, and you really want to get out there again.
Absolutely, man. It was nice to have 2 basically entire years to just practice and get better at the craft and stuff. It was nice to be able to focus on that, but it's time to rock again, dude. Let's get the rock and rolling.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. You got new songs too, right?
Oh yeah, we're working on a ton of new songs, so yeah, man.
Sweet. All right, Taylor, let's hit him with the news that is gonna shock him to the core, maybe.
I think maybe I've heard what you're about to say, but maybe not. I'm hoping it's a surprise.
All right.
Well, if you've maybe heard, then it probably is. But so for people that don't know, let's go way back to really set the stage. So there is this, NVIDIA has this thing called GeForce Now, which, as far as I understand, is sort of like a live streaming or like a cloud gaming type platform. And a couple months ago, a bunch of games leaked, like all kinds of stuff. Now, and NVIDIA has gone on to say that, like, hey, this is definitely true. Like the games that were listed are like games that are in the database, but whether or not these are just things that are being tested by developers or whatever,
Or just ideas.
Yeah.
Okay.
But one such game was in the list was Chrono Cross Remastered, and so people were like, "That's random."
Yeah, unexpected for sure.
Yeah, and so then there was all this information that was coming out, like the original composer was like recording some stuff, and the person he was recording with had said that he's working on a big remake of a PlayStation game. And then this week there was a really big I guess announcement or whatever. So there's this game called Another Eden. It's a mobile JRPG, and the director of Chrono Cross is the writer for that game. And so they announced a crossover collaboration with Chrono Cross. And so it's like, that is so random. Like, why would they do a crossover with like a 20-year-old game? And so people are starting to connect the dots, and it's like, okay, the announcement of the remake or the remaster or whatever this ends up being must be right around the corner. So the Game Awards are this week, this Thursday. December 9th, so a lot of people are thinking it might be announced then, and that's what I think is going to happen. So anyway, yeah, I'm curious to get your thoughts, Connor, because I know you're a big fan of Chrono Cross.
Oh yeah, man. And as you may recall, I actually like replayed it and beat it again pretty recently, so it's like very fresh in the mind. So it's good timing for this news. But I mean, obviously the number one reaction is just juiced. Like that's so sweet. And usually with these kind of things, I kind of have like a cautious optimism. I'll kind of I'll look at like little news tidbits, but I won't ever really assume it's going to happen. But the dots are starting to add up, and they're starting to connect. Based on everything you've said. So I think it. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it looks like it's a real project that's going to happen. Or at least it would be like a insane coincidence if all these things were just coincidental. So
Right. And that's my thought too. It's like this would be a massive series of coincidences if if it didn't happen.
totally. And but just moving on to like thinking harder about it, like maybe this is real. Is like, what's the gameplay gonna look like? Is the story gonna be the same? Because one thing I kind of noted about Chrono Cross, like stuck out to me more, playing it when I'm a little older now, is that the story is really, really great and it's very engaging and like you stay with it the whole time, but it is pretty like convoluted and complicated and like a lot of it like you just suspend your disbelief because it doesn't really make sense, but you're like, sure, okay, that's like badass, why not?
Is it?
And so I'm interested to see how they're gonna approach that. If they're gonna try to make the like all the temporal like elements of the story, all the time travel like simpler and make more sense, or just I don't know. It's very very interesting because it's just such a complex premise like for the plot of the game. But very cool.
Is it going to be is it as convoluted as Xenogears?
In some ways, no. In some ways, yes. I don't know. It's a complicated answer because Xenogears is like very complicated, but it's like super fleshed out. Like everything in Xenogears that can trace back to somewhere else, and there's like an origin story for every little like detail. And Chrono Cross, like it's no dig at the story, but it's like it doesn't have necessarily like as much like flesh on it as Xenogears does, but not even really in a bad way. Xenogears is just like wildly deep, so it's hard to compete in that sense.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But yeah, I'm fucking juiced, obviously.
Yeah. So a lot of people were like, a lot of the conversation now has turned to, are they going to have all the recruitable characters? Because that was a big part of Chrono Cross was there's all these characters that you can recruit, and you have to play the game twice to get all of them and stuff like that.
Three times actually.
Was it 3 times? Okay.
Yeah, there's two.
That's right.
There's
Viper
two different.
Manor.
Right. I think there's one more three-way split, but yeah, there's like two different parts where you have to choose one of three paths. So to get all three paths, you would have to do three, which is so gnarly. But yeah, but it's like the recruitable characters thing. That was like a concept that like really had a moment, like for over a couple year span, and then like I don't remember. Obviously, I'm not as plugged in as it was when I was younger, but like there's not that many games that really like boast that kind of system anymore.
No, not at all. I mean, that and Suikoden or Suikoden or however the hell you say it, like that's pretty much it.
And Radiata stories.
Radiata stories,
Oh,
obviously,
stories,
but
yeah.
I guess that one looms much larger in my brain than it does anyone else's. But that was like one of the best recruitable character games like I've played for sure.
Yeah, that one was great. Yeah, I mean, so I've really dug into this story pretty deep, and it seems like this isn't going to be on the level of like a Final Fantasy VII remake where like it's going to have this giant budget, but more so on the scale of like I don't know if either of you guys are familiar with the Trials of Mana remake that they put out in 2019, I think.
Yeah.
Where it looked good. Like I loved it. It was a great game, but it's not like this giant budget thing. Very more stylized and simple, but still great. So I think that's probably more of what we are looking like you can expect.
I
think for the way we want to enjoy the game, that's like for the best probably.
I mean,
it doesn't need to be huge.
If it looks like the mobile game crossover, then I would be fine. The character models look great.
Right. I just feel like the more money they have, the more just dollars and manpower they throw at like just like flashier, like bells and whistles type of shit. And it's like if you have a smaller team working on the game, like it's gonna maintain like its status as like a narrative game, and it won't be like turn into like fucking some crazy Final Fantasy 12 like action sequences and shit.
Yeah, that's my hope.
That would be tight too, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm kind of with you. I hope they keep it. Here's the one thing I hope they don't screw up is the music, because the music is obviously like unbelievably good. It's probably still my favorite game soundtrack ever. Um, and that, and I'm in the mobile game crossover, they gave the characters voices, which is interesting because obviously there wasn't voice acting. So
The
they
main
really
characters doesn't speak, which is also funny. But
That's
yeah,
also true, yeah. Because what was unique about Chrono Cross though is they tried really hard to phonetically write out people's like accents and weird ways of speaking and stuff. So
yeah.
clearly they have a lot of like there's a lot of character to them.
Mhm.
So so in
And
the crossover, just so you know, Connor, there's Surge, Kid, Harl. I don't know if they're playable, but Lynx and Glenn are also in it, and then the little space guy, I forget his name, but this little spaceman.
Starkey,
Yeah, so he's him and his
sick.
little. Yeah, so those guys are the ones they've shown so far.
He was in my party for pretty much most of the game. Little Starkey, he's great. I love that guy.
Yeah,
Nice.
I remember when you were like, "We gotta get him. We gotta get him."
Yep, gotta get Starkey, dude. But yeah, like the what you're talking about with the accents and stuff, how like Lucia, the scientist, she's like, German or whatever. So she'd be like, "What do you want to do?" With the V's and everything. And it's like, I don't know. It's such a little touch, and sometimes it's like silly, but it really like does a lot. It's like really helps flesh out the characters, make them feel more like individuals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right, so let's move on to the main topic of the game of the day, which is there's been some hints, just like this game that we were just talking about. There's been some hints and leaks that there's gonna be a Final Fantasy Tactics remake, and
So odd.
yeah, really, it was really odd. Just out of
Not
nowhere.
that, not in a bad way, obviously, but yeah, surprising.
I saw like they had like actual art in one of these sites, and it had like a mixture of, it said the Final Fantasy Tactics remake or something like that, or recollection, and it had Final Fantasy Tactics Advance art in the back.
Whoa.
And I was like,
Interesting.
wait a second, is it gonna be like a Final Fantasy Tactics collection? Is it
That
gonna
would
have,
be cool.
is it gonna have
I'd
all
be
three of them?
fucking down for that, and I would not sneeze at that.
You can finally be
If
able
it was
to.
like, dude, if I had all three tactics like on my Switch, like when we were on tour, dude, it'd be game over. Well, I already kind of got that recently, actually, because now I can play Diablo 2 on my Switch, like in the van, and that's like,
Oh
game,
wow.
dude, like living large, dude. If you told young Connor that was gonna be a thing, he would have fucking lost it.
If you told young Connor, it's like, hey, you know these games that we're playing on the TV? We'll be able to play them on our phones and like.
Yeah, it'll be in a tiny little PSP Go in your pocket, and
Yeah.
you play it during all your college classes. Still get A's and B's.
What? 99.
Yeah, so sick.
So, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance or Final Fantasy Tactics Remake. What would you want out of it, actually? Like, because
That's
this game, I mean, we've destroyed this game, and we know how to break it and make it really,
Yeah.
make it really easy.
well to the point where on replays I had to start imposing challenges on myself. I told you about my last one, right, guys? I think my last file. I only allowed myself to use classes from the chemist side of the tree, so like only magic
Oh,
classes.
interesting.
I'd never no squire side abilities, no fighters, no melee, no nothing, just all casters. And I finally got stuck at like the very end of the game, but I pretty much beat it. But yeah, that point being is we've beaten tactics so savagely that I have to do things like that to replay it. But it's so good that I still do.
Tell Taylor why you got stuck. So I remember the story. You're like,
Yeah. Well, all my damage has to come from like spells mostly. My like secret weapon was having mystics or oracles if you're old school. Like with the two-handed poles. Because those actually, like for a spellcaster, they're actually like pretty damn good on damage. And you can kind of game the system and like give them a bracer and like the judo outfit, and like so they have like all this plus to physical, and then they're swinging for like 160.
Nice.
Or somewhere around there if you're like doing it right, but probably even higher. But that's pretty much my only source of physical damage. And so I got to War of the Lions was how I was playing, of course. And I got to the Argith battle in Milan when he's like in the Undercroft. It's one of the bonus battles they added in War of the Lions where Argith comes back and he's like zombie Death Knight, like super badass mode, and he has like 5 or Ultima Demons or some shit like that with him. It's like a pretty nasty fight. And all you have to do is kill Argith, but he has Reflect Mail on. And so I just can't cast spells on him. And so you can use summons and physical, but then the other problem is that there's like 6 fucking Ultima Demons, and he uses Night Sword every turn, just heals himself back to full. And so it's like I tried it like 3 times, and like all 3 tries, like I didn't even get close. And I was just like, all right.
What a bummer.
I think I've been bested. If I really had my druthers, I would like go back and like grind and figure out a way to do it. But I was like, fuck, dude. This is like so impossible.
Can you get guns yet at that point?
Oh yeah. It's like at the end of the game, basically, where it is. But I mean, the only guns that are gonna do good amount of damage are elemental guns, and he's gonna reflect them. So, although I don't know if Reflect Mail reflects elemental bullets. That's a great question. I have no idea.
Yeah, because it just.
All right, I'm picking it back up.
Yeah, here we go. Go to the deep dungeon, getting the elemental guns.
Yep.
Actually, I think you could buy him in War of the Lions, right?
Something like that. I think I already went to Midwight's Deep on that file anyway, because I think you can do that like from close to the beginning of the last chapter. So I think I already had all the deep dungeon shit. But it was just one of those things where like it was such a gnarly battle, and it's like scaled to your level, I'm pretty sure, and yeah, they just absolutely whomped me. But anyways, we digress, of course. But a remake, what would I want from it?
Okay, so some people
really
on our Discord gave us some questions.
Okay.
Would you want the combat to stay faithful to the original, or maybe be more like Fire Emblem?
In what way?
So when they attack, it goes into that like cinematic mode.
Well, that would be sweet because it wouldn't even change the mechanics of the gameplay necessarily. That would just be badass.
Yeah.
To like see, your ninja go and 2 swords somebody, that'd be fucking sweet. Actually, yeah, just give me that, and I think we're good. But no, I would be open to some changes. Like they would have to be minor, and the spirit of the combat would obviously have to like remain there, but I think someone who truly loves the original game could do it justice. I think if they just get some team to update it who's not like connected to it, it would stink. But if it's people who really love the original, they should be able to, keep the spirit there.
Totally.
What about you, Taylor? What would you want to see with the combat? What criticisms could you possibly have of the tactics system? And also like rebalancing too, like making some abilities better and making some like a little, like rebalancing would be cool. Where everything does the same things, but things that used to suck like are more effective,
And actually, make the archer class, interesting.
Yeah.
Instead
like
of just
any old
charge
game,
one,
it's like a
charge
great
2.
game. Yeah, exactly. But there's so many things about so many abilities. We're just like, oh well, this is a useless piece of shit I'll never use, and that's just kind of is what it is. But it's like, what if it was good? That would just be even better,
Yep. Yeah. No. I as good as it looks, I think I would love to run Final Fantasy Tactics through the Octopath Traveler filter, and what I mean by that is have it look like what Octopath Traveler looks like, because I think like having that pixel art style does a lot for it, so like retaining that look I think would be important, but just updating it with like an HD coat of paint and stuff like that,
really,
I think that would be neat. Because
I feel so like intoxicated by the idea of like seeing like all those characters and like nice 3D models, but with like the tactics style features, like the simplistic like faces, because I think you could probably make that come across like on like a 3D like style, it'd be so cool. Like Nick, when you brought up like the little Fire Emblem animations, like that would be so tight. If you just like cast Ramu and he just comes down on the field and just like scorches everyone, like dude, yes.
All right, you're convincing me. Because I can picture it where it's like it's like a smaller model, but then it zooms in and it's like a full scale model with like, and it looks nice, like the cutscenes that they put in War of the Lions, like that kind of style, or
Well, because like the sprites are obviously untouchable and classic, but they are like chibi, you know. And it's like, what if it felt like darker and more badass? Like that would be even sicker, you know? Because it is like, it's like a political intrigue and like war and death, and it's a pretty dark, like badass story. And it's like it would be tight if the whole aesthetic really like nailed that.
I do.
You know what? I'm gonna post an image in the chat. You guys talk, but there is a mobile game that is essentially a spiritual successor. It's called War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, and it's a mobile game, but it's basically like the logical next step of what the Tactics art style would look like.
I mean, there's
So I'm gonna and they even did a crossover with Tactics, so I'm gonna find it and post it because it looks sick.
Okay, tight.
See, one of the things that I loved about Tactics is that, I mean, as a kid, I didn't really think about this, but now, in the first chapter, the story and everything that happens is all clean, and it seems like it's from a naive perspective, right? Like when people get stabbed, there's no blood, there's nothing, there's like no over the top gore. But then when the story continues and gets farther along in the chapters, it gets darker. Like knights and characters are ripped apart. There's a lot more blood.
Yeah,
and it's just
just
like,
go to Ryovan's castle. It's just like broken, bloody corpses all everywhere.
yeah, it's just like it like totally changes tone over time. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, totally. And like I know, like good narrative RPGs always have that arc. You know, it's like really important to like progress like that. Do you really have a feeling of like you've gone somewhere on this journey?
Would you want to change the job system and character progression in the game?
I think it'd be cool to add classes. Maybe mix up
Yes.
some of the requisites. You know, like there's some classes. Like one thing I love about FF5 is like there's classes in that game that like aren't even in any other Final Fantasies. Like what if Tactics had Blue Mages, Beastmasters, Mystic Knights, you know, Assassins, shit like that.
So like add the classes from Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and put them into regular Tactics.
Yeah, or those too, like Illusionist, Green Mage, fucking all that stuff, dude.
I would like to see, like, you pick an archer, right? And you use him, and then you could upgrade the archer to like a sharpshooter or something else, like branching job trees.
That could be sick. Kind of like almost like Ni no Kuni style when you're evolving your familiars.
Yeah.
That's a really sick idea.
I mean, that's
Because then you could like just have a super mega archer and he could like shoot twice in one turn or like, you know, something like that.
archer that's based on like hard hitting or long range, and then you have the other archer where it's all about doing damage over time of
Or another archer where he can equip a bow and a melee weapon and like some shit and he's like a brawler. Like that. Yeah, dude. That's like very juicy.
That's like Tactics 2 stuff. I mean, they can't change.
Right.
They can't change the game that much, but that would be so cool.
Well, it would be cool to just have a straight up sequel of Tactics that, like, you know, somehow magically just had all of the quality of the original, but it's like, I don't know. I just don't think that's really as possible these days.
I was thinking that if this is a real thing, maybe they are testing the waters to make a sequel. Like if this sells a lot, well, and a lot of people buy it, maybe they're like, okay, there's interest here. Let's make a sequel.
Well, then, goddamn, we better buy it.
Exactly.
Usually that's why they do these remasters. It's either to gauge interest or get people talking because they're working on a sequel in the background or something. So, but yeah, I just posted those screenshots if you kind of want to look at the art. But I think I think that art looks pretty sick.
That looks great. Yeah, I like how it still has like that I forget the name of the artist, but the original Final Fantasy artist, like that still has some of that like DNA in the sprites on the in-game footage there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And like that will always be vintage FF. Like that should always be kept. Like how every like new Final Fantasy like logo has like the little kind of like emblem picture usually like built into it.
Yep.
and it always like maintains that style. It's like, yes, very important.
I like how the tactics are kind of like really meshes well with the style of Vivius or whatever, the Visions game.
Well, the tactics art is like, it's like really unique. It's like kind of, I don't know, unto itself, you know?
And they're all Krillins. They all have no noses.
Yeah, and it's like, but the craziest part is that like never once do you like go, why don't they have noses? You're just like, oh yeah, this is what it looks
Just how
like.
it is. Yeah.
It looks perfectly natural and like, you don't question it at all.
Yeah.
But it's still different as hell.
Would you want to keep the old timey English script?
Yeah, I think so. What about you, Taylor?
It's somewhere in between like what they did with War of the Lions and a typical RPG, because sometimes they do the "Dost thou protest?" and it's like, what are you saying? Like, like so
Yeah.
as long as they can keep it understandable, I guess,
Yeah.
then that's fine.
Like the
I
death.
don't know. I love that shit, but I know I'm like understandably in the minority on that one.
Is it the Death Corps or the Death Brigade?
I will always think of the Death Corps. It's like the original.
You know, I was a stupid kid, and I always thought it was the Death Corps.
Of course, I did too. Everyone did. Yep, the old Death Corps. This is a double whammy. They're dead and it's a corpse. Spooky.
Spicky. There is a huge world of hacked ROMs for Final Fantasy Tactics that I found out.
I know we were playing some of them. They're nuts, dude.
The one I was playing, it wasn't even.
Yeah, that one's out of control.
It wasn't even fun.
You like go into a random battle and it's like Orlando on the other team. He's casting Faraja on you, and you're just like, what is fucking happening, dude?
No, you're laughing, Taylor. That's what it was like. It was like, okay, I'm fighting a chocobo, a goblin, and a bomb. Okay, this is easy. The bomb just like goes across the map, shoots across the map, and it has like a range of Firaga and hits everyone for like 50 damage. And
It's like chapter 1.
And it's chapter 1. Everyone's like has max health at 30. I'm like, well, that's fair.
Yeah. And you're like, oh wow, that priest has a gun. Like, sweet.
Yeah.
And it shoots twice. Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. Funny thing about that, someone had a bow gun, right? And it has a passive ability called double shot. So sometimes it triggers and it shoots twice.
Damn.
So I was playing it and I was like, oh, he only has a bow gun. He shoots me 15 damage. Like, okay, I'm good. Shoots me again. I'm like, what the hell? Kills me. And I'm like, oh well, that's awesome.
What can go wrong will go wrong.
And it was just a bow gun, and I had that ability.
Hilarious. Like, imagine when you get to the end and you have like the fucking Perseus bow. It's probably like shoots 9 times, does max damage every time. You're like, what are we doing here?
I
Right.
want to see if someone's actually gone that far in that mod.
Probably just the guy who made it,
Yeah.
and that's it.
It's just like, how do you play this? Like, okay, it's like, how do you kill a goblin that has the ability that could punch 3 times, and it's ranged?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
No, but you have throw stone, so you know.
Yeah, it's the
Exactly.
same thing.
Yeah.
You got throw stone. You got no job, GP level up. You know, none of that. None of that.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm juiced. Is there like any concrete information about the Tactics remake, or like not really
Not
yet?
not to the level of Chrono Cross, but there's definitely some rumblings. Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Some-
Well, okay, let me ask you guys this. So we're talking about like new classes and things. Would you want any new guest characters? Because obviously in 7 you have, or in Tactics you have Cloud, and then in War of the Lions you have Balthier from Final Fantasy 12, and then they added Luso from Tactics Advance, I think.
Advanced
So-
2. Yeah.
Oh, Advance 2. Okay.
Both great
So-
characters. Great choices with both of those.
And Luso is very good. Luso is another Ramza as speaking that he has all of Ramses' Squire abilities. So you could have 2 characters with Ultima. It's great.
Oh, and Balthier is amazing too. He has like the engineer abilities, like the arm shot, leg shot, and then
He's a thief.
like all the steel abilities,
Yeah, he's
like
awesome.
in one skill set. It's like, oh hell yeah, dude. But
Nice.
no, I would love to see those. That would be great. I mean, the characters I would probably be most excited to see are like not the ones that are gonna make it in there, but like I'm
Such
sure like
as.
oh just like be like Squall or something or like Zidane, any of the classic protagonists but I'm sure it would be something more modern.
Yeah, dude, I'd love like Vivi. Vivi would be awesome.
Oh, dude, what if you could get like a VV skin for your black mage or something?
That would be cool.
That would be tight. Oh, dude, being able to customize the way your characters look would be pretty tight too. Like nothing too crazy, because then I'd just be doing it for hours and hours. I'd never play the game, but that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And each character that you recruit has a specific personality, so they each act different a little bit. So you could have like every squire, well, not every squire, but squires of the same type or squires will look different.
Yeah. Well, what would be tight is if they had some kind of like personality stats like that, and they could just take away Brave and Faith and replace it with like those and make those interact with combat somehow. Like if you had like a brash character, he has like a higher crit chance or whatever, or if you have like a shy character, they have better like magic defense or some shit. It's like
much better than the Brave
like
system.
Yeah,
That would be kind of cool. Yeah.
System is very strange.
Like every mod that I've looked at, they always take that system away, or just make it neutral so everyone's the same.
Right. Well, it's like the game is great in spite of that one mechanic.
Have you ever like actually delved deep into it?
Only in the sense it's like when I need to steal something, I know I have to get down to Brave 10, and if I want a good spellcaster, they have to have high faith. That's pretty much it. But other than that, it's just like too weirdly complicated. There's a bunch of math involved.
Just like the calculator. Do you think the game would benefit for more character interactions, including the normal hires? Taylor, do you want social links?
No, because I don't think that's why I don't go to tactics for that. To me, it's all about the character customization and just building up the characters. Here's what I would like. I would love an easier way to grind, and I'm not saying like throw a character here and skip time or something, but basically it was like random before, when you're walking across the map and you just sort of cross your fingers that you don't, that you do or don't run into a random battle. So it'd be nice, like in some of the Fire Emblem games, they do that. They have like a training grounds or something. So it'd be kind of cool to have something like that.
I think it would be like so easy to fix that. You just like there's still like a random chance of a battle like going across an area just because like that like thematically makes sense. But then like if you're standing on an area, you can just hit like a force battle button and not have to like run back and forth between spaces.
Sure.
But yeah.
I would want more character interaction scenes, not like social links, right? Like for one, I don't know if you guys ever done this, but there's a scene with Mustadio and Agrias where you need to have a certain amount of gil, and you need to go to a certain bar, like go to a bar on a certain date.
Yeah, and it's Agrias' birthday, right?
Yes, and
Mustadio,
and Mustadio wants to give Agrias some lipstick because Mustadio likes her, right?
Yeah.
And it's very cute. It's very cute. That's a very cute interaction, and it's just like, yeah.
For sure, man. Well, that's like one of those things I definitely only like found that out because I saw that item in the accessory list, and it's insanely good. And I was like, holy shit, how do you get that? I was like, Agrias' birthday, what the hell? It's like a little Easter egg almost.
Yeah, it is, because it's really hard to get. And you need to have Mustadio and Agrias in your team.
When did that happen?
Oh, they could die, Some people let their guest characters die. So,
dude, I would never. If anyone never turns to a crystal who I like, it's instant reset.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Even if you haven't saved for like 3 hours.
Dude, can't just flush one of the boys down the drain or gals.
That happened to me recently. I've been playing Lunar a little bit, messing around with Lunar, the PS1 version, because the PSP
Dude,
version,
sick.
the PSP version, is way too easy.
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same at all. I'm
And
playing.
the updated 2D is not as sick either. The original graphics will always be supreme, dude.
So I was playing that, and I died. Like I went across, I'm at the beginning, right? So I went across the sea, did a couple of dungeons, and then I died. And then I realized I haven't saved for 3 hours, and I'm like, oh no.
Oh no.
It's like I gotta
Come
go.
on.
Yeah. It's like I gotta go back.
You host a JRPG
I
podcast.
know. It's
How could you?
I just don't think about it because I'm on my emulator. I just don't think about it.
No, for sure, man. That sucks. There's no like rewind or whatever on that emulator.
I think there is, but I was like, well, I don't know how to do it.
Damn,
So-
that's crushing. Although I've lost so many characters on hardcore Diablo 2 that I don't know.
You're so used to
Like-
it now.
3 hours. Talk to me when you get to fucking 36.
And then losing him.
Yeah. God.
What's the most soul crushing death that you've had?
Well, there's definitely. It's kind of like a story. I don't know, but it's like I had a 92 hardcore necromancer on Diablo 2, which 92 is like pretty freaking high in that game. And he was like fully geared poison and bone necromancer, like super godly. And I was just like, I was at my like guitarist house, and I was like, "Hey man, want to see my Diablo 2 character?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." It's like go to Act 5 Hell because I'm like, "Oh, he's like godly." I just like run out and immediately get hit with like 10 lightning bolts from like Black Souls, like the nastiest critter in Diablo 2, one of them, and just like insta kill. Like we had just woken up and like I just fired it up and just like walked into the first place, and then like I was just sitting there with my mouth open, and he was just like looking at me like, that was bad, right? And I'm just like, I just like looked at him, just like closed the laptop and put it away, and I was like, let's go get breakfast.
That was a bad thing, right?
Yeah. But no, there's been some where I just immediately turn off the monitor and walk away, and then others where I sit there like looking at it with my mouth open for like 30 seconds. But just because it's always when you least expect it, you know. I don't know.
Always happens. Always happens.
If anyone plays D2 hardcore, please drop me a message. Let's trade.
All right, so back to Final Fantasy Tactics. If it is Final Fantasy Tactics Remake, Remade, Tactics Advance, and Tactics Advance 2, what if they all had the same art style? It's all cohesive bundle.
I think it would
That
be nice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the universe of Tactics Advance and regular Tactics is so different. Like it's so much cuter in like Advance, and like it's not nearly as burly as the story and setting in like original Tactics. So I feel like the Advance one should look a little cutesier, probably. But yeah, you could have them like be hell similar, you know.
The tone is so different in Advance.
It's
crazy.
that's why Tactics Advance 2 is such a delight, because it's like such a fun, like lighthearted adventure, and Luso is such like a rascal. It's just like a very fun game.
Very light on the story, just fun to play.
Yep.
Would you want to put the weapon system in regular Tactics
Weapon system? What do you mean?
to get the abilities from the weapons?
Oh, right, because that's an advanced thing. Ooh. I don't know. What's a better system?
Yeah,
Because I love that system. You played Final Fantasy 9, right, Taylor? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, where you
Yeah,
learn
it's
the
basically
abilities. Yeah.
basically that system or JP.
Okay.
Gun to your head, which one you gonna pick? It's actually really hard.
I kind of like JP because you can spend it however you want. I actually really don't like that system because you're like forced to use this weapon, even maybe if it's not that great. So, yeah, I'm not. I would rather just have the JP. So, like, whenever you wanna, you can spend it however you want. Because I like that. Because it's like, all right, well, I want to save for this ability that's like way down the tree. But if that's how I want to spend my, JP, then I can. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and I do like the other stuff too, where it's like if you are like have two archers in your party, like the other people in the party are gonna like get like passively archer JP very slowly, like from being around them. It's like that's tight. I like that. But I don't know. The one thing I liked about the item learning system is that it makes getting new pieces of gear way more exciting because you're like, ooh, what kind of sick ass abilities is this one gonna have? So I always like that. Like I would find a new treasure and be like, ooh, like this one has like fire 2 on it. Hell yeah, like I like that part of it. But
See this.
I guess JP is the better system. It's like way more customizable.
Yeah, JP is way more open, and it allows you to break the game earlier if you know how to do it. If you want to
Right.
spend the time to do it. I think the item system was introduced because they didn't want people to do that. They didn't want to break the game and have like
Yeah.
a summoner or a dark knight on right before Dorder City, you know?
That's what I love about tactics though, is that you can mix and match the abilities and break the game. To me, that's the most fun part of it.
I mean, Final Fantasy VIII even had some of that with junctioning. Like there was a way to do it where like before you fight Ifrit, you have like all these maxed out like Blizzara like on your attack power and all this shit. But
Have you done that
yeah,
before?
it's fun. It's fun when it's just too much work for not enough payoff.
Mm.
But it's fun when they leave little windows open for like the hardcore gamers. But it is a bummer if it becomes like the only way to do it.
How about this? How about a combination, right? So you have your normal abilities you get with JP, but your ultimate abilities you have to get with certain items.
Or just like certain like hyper abilities or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not hyper, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. That.
That'd be tight, dude. Or just have all the abilities be learned from items, but there's like a crafting system where you could. I don't know. Now I'm getting too crazy.
We're getting way crazy.
Hire me, god damn it!
All these ideas. Some indie developer needs to listen to us and make it.
That'd be tight.
Well, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance remake and a Chrono Cross remake, maybe. It's an interesting time to be alive. Both games that we all enjoyed. But okay, first let's go back. Let's go way back to the Chrono Cross thing. I want to ask Taylor this.
Okay.
You thought it was archaic. You didn't like the battle system as much. What would you want to change about the battle system?
Man. I think just speed it up because I think the premise is cool where like you're filling out this color grid on the battle map, and like depending on what color the grid is, like you do more damage and stuff. Like there's something in there that's interesting, but like it's the PS1, all the spell animations take forever, and like it's just too slow. So I just would want it sped up a little bit. I think that would make it more enjoyable.
I think there would be a way they could update how it handles that would really trim the fat off of all the time it takes without having to really like blow up the system. Because like even when you're just like scrolling through like the little elements list, it's like shrink, shrink. It's like there's like a rollover. It's like slow. If it was just an instant click over, like that would like do so much for it. Like because what spell you're gonna use, and you're in the rhythm of the game. You know where everything is, so you're just like. Okay, there's the turn, instead of like having to like basically flip pages through all the abilities like hella slowly.
Other than that,
Yep.
Connor, do you think the battle system should have any changes other than what you just said?
It'd be cool. I don't know. It's always. I don't know. I wish the game was a little harder. Actually, like after this last playthrough, I feel like maybe I just know the system too well, but I just beat the living piss out of every single boss in that game. Like when I fought like Fate, the big evil supercomputer, she has like this big like countdown ability, and she only got to use it once. I killed her like right after the first ability. When I remember when I was younger, like she used it like 5 times. So I don't know, making it a little harder would be good.
It's like fighting Sephiroth and just killing him before he even moves.
Yeah, man. But it's just like, I don't know, anytime you have an RPG where you could level up like that, like you're gonna be able to grind and like break it.
Yeah, but that's part of it's part of the charm. Like the first time you play, you won't do that, and then the second time every time you play, you just get better and better until you completely break it.
Right.
All right.
Like yeah, my spellcasters. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, dude.
No, nothing. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like on the last playthrough of Tactics where I did all spellcasters, like just with knowing exactly what gear to have in every slot, like they'd just be casting flare in like chapter 2 and doing like 200 damage. It's like it's pretty much all of the health of any like human enemy. So it's like even without like grinding that hard, just knowing a game well, you can like break the shit out of it.
Is there a way to cut down the cast time?
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, flare takes a while to cast, right? So.
Oh, that one's not so bad now. It's usually wasn't that bad.
Oh, gotcha. All right, so we're almost done. Let's move to one question that I picked out just to fill some time. Cheese Hero Zero asks, is there a JRPG song that every time you hear it, you are hit with nostalgia?
I mean, how much time do we got?
Yeah, I mean,
We got
is there one? It's like,
heck,
brother,
yeah.
came to the right place.
Of course there is.
I mean, like most of the songs in Final Fantasy VII, like every time some new version or some new arrangement of a song popped up in the remake, I was like, oh, this sounds so gorgeous, sound beautiful. Like Arnie Village from Chrono Cross is like pretty amazing. I love another Termina from Chrono Cross.
For me, from Chrono Cross, just because that's like the one, is just the intro, the opening. Scars of Time, I think is the name.
Yeah,
Like
yep.
with the opening cinematic, like when it cuts to Kid on the beach and it like all the music drops out and it's just the violins for like 4 bars, like, dude, that'll get a tear in the corner of the eye for sure.
Yeah, and another one is like Tactics, like the opening song, like the da 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 da.
Oh, dude, you just got me right now, dude. Just singing it. I'm like, oh, dude, yes. Just getting ready to see new game, just smashing it.
In Tactics, the random battle songs are very nostalgic to me.
Mm,
They're all really good.
yeah.
I really like listening to them.
for sure. No, sometimes ones will just hit me out of nowhere, and I'm like, ooh. Like the last playthrough of Chrono Cross, there's definitely a bunch where I was like, oh, I forgot this song like is in this game.
What song? Think about a game you haven't played in a while, and think about a song that would hit you deep.
A game that I love that I haven't played in a long time is actually FF8.
Mm.
There's some bangers in that one.
FF8 has like a legit great soundtrack. Like I know people like to shit on that game, but like the soundtrack in 8 is pretty incredible. Like Fisherman's Horizon, Balam Garden, like
Dude, Fisherman's Horizon. That might be the biggest banger from the whole thing. God, that's a great song.
Have you
I
got?
should make that my alarm clock in the morning. I'd be in such a better mood every day.
right?
Did you get the remaster on Steam, Connor?
I didn't. No, I thought real hard about it, but I didn't end up getting it. I probably will eventually at some point whenever I replay it, but no, not yet.
And nothing beats the Tales of Destiny menu song.
Oh yeah, dude. Or the world map music. The like intro,
Yeah.
so classic, dude. Bum ba-dum, bum bum bum. Yeah, dude. So triumphant.
It is. Well,
Good.
it just sucks that I've played it so much that's not nostalgic to me anymore. It's just like, yeah, that's the Tales song. Yeah, that's good. Because I've played it so many times recently. So
Yeah, it'll still get me.
But
the old Diablo, this isn't a JRPG, but the Diablo 1 Tristram music is also like really good. Even not just as video game music, as like a standalone song. It just rules.
I think the Diablo 2 soundtrack is very nostalgic, and I didn't really play it. I lived it through you, Connor, and my dad. So my dad.
Well, it's very minimalist. I feel like in Diablo 1 it was more like in your face, like trying to be spooky. But in Diablo 2 is a little more like ambient, you know.
But I remember just walking to the kitchen and I just hear the first Area's theme when my dad was playing, and I was like, oh, what the heck?
Yeah, dude, it's epic. Oh, is your dad playing D2R?
Oh, he is. Yeah,
Oh,
that's all
fuck
he
yeah,
plays.
dude. He doesn't play hardcore, does he?
No, I think that would piss him off.
No one. Yeah, that's why it's great. Oh God, I need people who play hardcore. It's so depressing.
It's hard.
There's like 6 people on my Blizzard friends with who like are all online all the time. I'm just like, fuck it, dude. Do I cave and play softcore, or does that make me a quitter? I don't know, man.
I don't know. I think playing a hardcore game would piss me off too much. I mean,
Yeah, I can't do it.
I would
Dude,
love,
it's
I would love to
too-
play, I would love to play it, but it would still piss me off. Like playing MechWarrior 5 in Iron Man mode pisses me off because it's just like, oh great, my mech is destroyed that I just bought. Now I have no money. My only heavy mech is gone.
God. Yeah, that sucks. But I don't know, man. But it's just like right now I have like a level 87, like almost fully geared sorceress, and it's just like, dude, she's godlike, almost not that godlike, just pretty good, and it's just such a more of an accomplishment, you know. I'm so proud of it. And then she'll die, and I'll be sad, and then I'll forget about it.
And make another one. No, you need to convince my dad to make more characters because he only plays his damn sorceress.
Yeah, well, sorceress. I shouldn't say this because I play one all the time, but it's definitely like the basic bitch type class.
He just loves blowing.
But she's
stuff
just
up.
so great, dude.
Yeah.
She's just, oh god, she's the best. But
D2 or D3 looks better.
oh,
The
wow,
sorceress.
dude. The
Class wise.
I don't know. D2 just is gonna smash D3 every time, whatever the question is. Not to be that guy, but it's just true. D3 is fun, but like as an arcade like party bullshit game, like D2 is for the dogs
Yeah.
in the good way.
All right, guys. So this will be the end of this comeback episode. Thanks for listening, Taylor. Be sure or tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, just search the gaming shelf on YouTube. Yeah, it took like a month off, a couple months ago, but now I'm trying to get back on a regular schedule. Lots of end of the year videos coming out, so you definitely want to make sure you subscribe for that. And in fact, I have a lot of codes that I'm giving away in my like top 5 JRPGs video that I have. So yeah, you're gonna make sure if you haven't played one of those games, you're gonna make sure you subscribe. You could get a free game. You never know.
Hell yeah, dude, crushing it.
And
Yeah.
Connor, tell them where they can find you and your band.
Okay. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Condorius. That's my alter ego in all video games and online. And yeah, Wolf King is my band. You can just check it out on YouTube or Spotify or whatever. Yeah.
All right. So thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back later. See you guys.
Later.
Dudes.